Hey, witches. Um, I'm actually recording this on Friday, September 30th, during the Black Moon in Libra. Um, the reason I'm doing that is because tomorrow I am going to be extremely busy. I'll be going to Des Moines and picking up some hopefully really awesome Halloween stuff. And I'll probably even be recording early again. The Friday after, because that weekend happens to be the Planned Parenthood book sale. So if I look like I'm wearing the same outfit 2 days in a row, that's probably why. But this month for Halloween, or for October, I wanted to dedicate the whole month to the Morrigan, who is the goddess that I serve. So um, I'm reviving the hashtag 31 days with the Morrigan. And for the first day, on Saturday, October 1st, I thought I would talk about how my relationship with the goddess was initially forged. It's not something that I've told many people. Um, for starters, contrary to popular opinion, I did not go out and look for the Morgan. She came to me. Um, oh, and if you should happen to hear any noises, my window's open and I live like half a block from the highway, which is surprisingly busy for this time of day, on a weekday no less. But I have been a priest of the Morgan since Lunasa of 2002, and I must say it is one of the finest honors and distinctions I've ever had in my life as a human being. As a witch, it is an amazing honor being able to serve a god or a goddess. Um, oh, let me think. Back in 2002, it was on Lunasa, and well, for starters, I'm always rather analytically minded, so I'm a very prove it to me sort of person. I often need struck upside the head with a clue by four. And I'm sure sensing this, the universe really put something nice in motion that I was really able to grasp a hold of and really um, say, okay, it's clearly the Morrigan. Um, but yeah, it was Lunasa of 2002. Actually, it was the eve of Lunasa, which is interesting in and of itself because the eve of a festival was counted as the starting day of the festival itself by the Celts. Um, they they um they reckon time a little differently than we do. We start our days well at midnight, but theirs seem to be began when the sun set. Their day started the evening of. So I was preparing a really simple Lunasa ritual that night, in which I was going to invoke the old ones, and I decided to take a break from what I'd been doing, and I just sat outside in the humid Iowa August weather to really take in the mysteries of autumn. And as I did, I sat on the back porch, and across the highway is a field. That year is the farmers alternate and the crops, and that year it was filled with corn or maize, and it wasn't quite time to harvest it yet. It was still pretty green, but as I sat there for a little while, um, someone, presumably the farmer, began letting off fireworks in the sky, which was extremely unusual because it was in the 4th of July, and I've been wondering since if that farmer knew that it was the festival of Lunasa that was commencing. I'm not sure that he did. I can't really say for certain. He may have. Who knows? Um, but it was this dazzling fireworks display in the sky, and I'll never forget it. But that night, I went to bed, and I actually had a visionary experience involving Morgan. She was dressed in a multicolored robe, which was standard um, for a Celtic chieftain or queen to signify their status, their position within Celtic society. You were considered more wealthy, more well-to-do, depending on how many colors your clothing was dyed with. You know, how many articles of dye was making your clothing. And I awoke basically muttering the name of Morgan on my lips. You know, it actually sounded a little crow-like in a sense. It sounds a little strange, but um, I was actually probably muttering the name Maha, which is one of the Morgan's identities in Celtic lore. And it didn't just include that single instance. I actually went through my ritual script that I had created the night before, and I had revised, replacing the very generic terms that I've been using with more specific terms. I had displaced them with the name the Morgan specifically, and I used that in my very simple handmade Lunasa ritual. And the following evening, I again had another visionary experience involving the goddess, which I've always taken as a sign that she approved of what I had done. My offering, if you will, had been accepted by her. Now the reason all of these occurrences are important to me is because I as many physicists believe in what's known as synchronicity. There's a famous physicist by the name of F. David Pete who believes that a synchronicity is defined by him as let me think. It is defined by him as um, a coincidence, a coincidence that is so unusual and so psychologically meaningful they don't seem to be the result of chance alone, which is really what what had occurred to me. And I've been serving her ever since. I've been researching her specifically ever since. I have what must be hundreds and hundreds of books on various subjects, specifically on Celtic studies, but also Indo-European studies, and also specifically on the Morrigan herself, including scags of academic journal articles from Celtic studies journals, as well as journals of Indo-European studies and medieval studies. Um, and as the months and or at least the first couple of years I think went by, I eventually decided to start founding a personal tradition based around the goddess, and I have been calling it the Covenant of Morgan. I have been sort of advertising it as my own personal tradition for many years. Um, in fact, it it came to my attention recently that a British priestess who is sort of doing the same thing but with the goddess Hecate had, I don't know if I like to use this term, but I'll use it anyway. She obviously purloined my use of the word covenant in her own tradition. And that's fine. I really don't mind that she did. I just wish it hadn't been in such a surreptitious manner. You know, I mean, granted, it could have been a coincidence, but I really don't think so. Only because I was pretty vocal about my tradition and what I had called it online. I was actually walking home from the post office one day when the name just popped into my head. Um, it was, it just came to me like a bolt from the blue. I am personally believing that it was divine inspiration from the goddess. So I was, really advertising it publicly online, and even on some forums and some books that I have had articles and chapters published in which this British priestess also had articles and chapters published in it as well. So it seems at least a little suspicious as far as I'm concerned. Granted, I don't care that she's, using that term. She's free to do what she likes. It just would have been nice to have been asked first. My tradition obviously worships the Morrighan, but also her consort, the Data, who we view as a horn god, a bullhorn god. Our tradition is based on really traditional witchcraft as sort of a framework, but also, and I use the term traditional witchcraft in its original sense, not in how it's used now, which is what I would really call neo-traditional witchcraft. But that's a whole other video. But it's really based in traditional witchcraft as a framework, as well as academic Catholic studies. And if you've never read this book, I highly recommend it. It's one of the better books out there on the subject of ancient Celtic paganism, as well as Indo-European studies. Form a really good backbone for what I do, what I believe. I could recommend many books on Celtic studies and Indo-European studies, and you could read them. But even if you read them, you wouldn't necessarily draw the same conclusions that I have come to, based upon my understanding of the material. No, I almost forgot something. The choice of Lunasa as opposed to Samhain really struck a chord with me, because I had found out after the fact that Lunasa was one of the festivals associated with the Morrighan. One of her cult centers, Awan Mahab, is a traditional site where the festival of Lunasa was traditionally, it's where it traditionally occurred there, and the local pagan folklore of Awan Mahab rather directly reflects the general mythology of Lunasa itself, which is the festival was established to honor the foster mother of the Celtic god Lu, who died after many years of labor and or physical labor. Whereas at Awan Mahab, it was said that the festival of Lunasa was established there to honor the death of Maha, presumably after she gave birth to children, because she was forced to run a race in the midst of her labors. So that connection was really poignant with me after the fact, when all of these experiences occurred, and I was actually after reading this badass book. I mean, look how thick that is. That's like 3 inches thick. All about the Festival of Lunasa by a brilliant Irish folklorist. If you've never gotten a hold of this book, I highly recommend it. It's pretty expensive. Some of the more inexpensive copies are around $70, $80, but they quickly go up to more than $100. I was able to get this on the Half Price Bookstore website. The seller originally wanted about $70 or $80 for a bit, but because of the discount code I had, I was able to get the price down substantially to about $50, which is pretty awesome, you know. So that's pretty much my story of how the goddess came into my life. I hope you like it. I would really like to hear others' stories of how the goddess came into their lives as well. But you know, I really look forward to sharing some of what I know with you over the course of the next month, and sharing with you some of my experiences. Oh, and you may notice that in the corner, I've changed the watermark to sort of dedicate my channel specifically to the Morrighan, with the watermark featuring a crow. So I will see you later, and I promise I'll have much more to talk about. See ya.